Okay, Charlie, the thermometer should be done. Let me see it. 101? You're definitely staying home from school today.
Aw, Mom, but I'm so bored. All my friends are at school, and I'm too sick to play with my toys.
Well, you have to rest if you want to get better. Look, here's the remote. Why don't you watch some TV while I make some chicken noodle soup?
Okay, I guess, but it's the middle of the day. Do they even have TV shows on during the day? What am I supposed to watch?
Not to worry, buddy.
Hi, Carmen.
TV in the 80s and 90s was legendary, and that includes daytime shows, game shows, talk shows, soap operas, you name it. Hi, I'm Carmen Q, Gollihar, and today on Retrotainment, we're looking at the best things that came on your TV in the pre-primetime hours. First up, soap operas. If you grew up like I did, chances are you had a mom who absolutely, positively, under no circumstances could miss her stories. Many of these shows started in the 60s and 70s, but were totally peaking in the 80s and 90s. These shows brought the melodrama. You never knew who was gonna get married, get killed and brought back to life, get amnesia, or get a secret twin. First up, General Hospital. While always a fan favorite, this show was the highest rated soap opera in the 80s, with some major events taking place. In 1981, two of the show's main characters, Luke and Laura, finally got married, and it was the daytime TV event of the decade, even if their past romance was a bit problematic by today's standards. 30 million people tuned in for the wedding, making it the highest rated episode of a soap opera in history at the time, with TV Guide going on to call it the single greatest moment in soap opera history. Hollywood megastar Elizabeth Taylor even signed on to appear on the show so that she could be in the wedding episode. The show also featured a ton of great guest stars who would go on to huge careers later on, and some who already had huge careers. Singer Rick Springfield, John Stamos, that's right, Uncle Jesse, Demi Moore, and Tia Carrera all had supporting roles on General Hospital before moving on to the A-list. But they weren't the only game in town. Soap fans were eating well in the 80s and 90s. All My Children brought dramatic but also socially relevant storylines, tackling controversial topics like AIDS in the 1980s. The show was canceled on broadcast TV in 2011, but was brought back to watch online in 2013.
Online? What channel is that? Is that on cable? We don't have that yet.
Not quite. Look, don't worry about it. And of course, there's Days of Our Lives. The show was already popular in the 80s, but experienced a new boom in the 90s after the hugely popular show Friends had a run of episodes in which Joey starred in an in-universe version of the show before being killed in an elevator accident. If I can make a confession, I was obsessed with this show. I may have scheduled some of my college classes around the show's time slot. Don't judge. DVR hadn't come out yet. You had to be there. And Marlena was possessed by the devil. But it wasn't just scripted drama on your TV at the AM hours. Daytime game shows also saw a major boom. If you're an 80s or 90s kid, I bet there's exactly one show that comes to mind when you think of staying home from school sick. Say it with me. The Price is Right. This show was the ultimate combination of big fun props, crazy games, and economic intuition. Many moms prided themselves in knowing the MSRP. That's the manufacturer's suggested retail price of every item the show could throw out. To this very day, when I get sick, I still hear the beeping sound the giant wheel would make when contestants gave it a spin. The show was hosted by the one and only Bob Barker, maybe the greatest daytime game show host in television history. No shade to Drew Carey. How can we forget Barker's signature sign-off telling daytime audiences to keep the animal population under control by getting your pets spayed and neutered? The classic game show Family Feud was also on during the day back then. And while Steve Harvey is doing a great job at holding things down in the current era, the 80s era was hosted by maybe the smoothest man to ever hold the mic, Richard Dawson. Dawson was known for, among other things, giving a kiss to just about every female contestant on the show. In fact, Dawson was one of the few Caucasian men on TV who was not afraid to kiss women of color on the show. One of these contestant kisses made quite the impression on Dawson himself. He would go on to marry a woman named Gretchen Johnson after she appeared on the show, earning her family over $12,000. And while it's a primetime hit now, Wheel of Fortune was a daytime hit in the 80s. The original run featured Chuck Woolery as host before giving the keys over to Pat Sajak and Vanna White, whose daily and nightly looks would dazzle audiences for decades to come. The show put a ton of new catchphrases into the popular lexicon too.
I'd like to buy a vowel, please.
But if you wanted real human tension on television in the 80s and 90s, there's only one kind of show for you: the daytime talk show. 80s and 90s saw the rise of wild topics like out-of-control teens, turbulent marriages, coming out of the closet, and parental disputes on The Ricki Lake Show and The Oprah Winfrey Show. Yes, before Oprah was Oprah. She was taking audience comments and giving moms makeovers like any other daytime host. It wasn't until the late 80s that she started to sow the seeds for her rise to the top of daytime TV. She changed the game in the 80s with her now famous giveaway episodes, which became a staple of the show for the rest of its run. She had episodes earnestly documenting her struggles with her own body image and launched her famous book club in 1988. The same year, she would flex her clout in the entertainment industry with her famous interview with the King of Pop, Michael Jackson. Politics, religion, and social issues were served up on the Phil Donahue Show, which seemed to be controversial by design. Donahue was the first show to have a person living with AIDS as a guest in an effort to humanize the then misunderstood disease. At the time of the episode's airing, there were only 700 documented cases of the disease. A young Donald Trump would appear on Phil's show in which he claimed he had no intention of running for political office in his life. My, how things change. Geraldo Rivera was mostly known for his infamous opening of Al Capone's vault in the 1980s. Spoiler alert, it was empty. But for most of the decade, he was just another over-the-top daytime talk show host. And Rivera wasn't shy about putting his own body on the line for a good show. This was on full display in one episode, which featured a debate between a black civil rights advocate and a white supremacist that descended into televised chaos. In a move usually only seen in professional wrestling, Rivera was hit in the face with a chair, breaking his nose. Yikes. This format would reach its peak with the Jerry Springer Show in the 90s, which brought the controversy and violence to the forefront, elevating it to almost soap opera levels of drama.
I don't think I should be watching these.
Yeah, you're probably right, but you probably will anyway. And there you have it. Whether you're a stay-at-home mom or a kid stuck staying at home, those are the best shows of the 80s and 90s that aired before the sun went down. So Charlie, are you feeling any better?
Yeah, I think so. This was fun, but I think I'm actually excited to go back to school tomorrow.
Charlie! Huh. I guess she went back to her room to rest. Just in time for me to watch my stories.